Welcome to the South Wiltshire Hero Awards. The awaiting is almost over, and very soon now we'll be able to find out who our many readers and online followers have chosen as their heroes. It seems we've been reporting on the highs and the lows of the pandemic on a daily basis for a very long time. But now, with what we hope is a much brighter future in prospect, it's time to look back on all those who have played their part in keeping our spirits up and provided support during the last year and a half. It's been our honour and privilege to hear so many inspiring stories, and I must thank our judges for working so diligently through all our entries. We have a lot to pack into the next 60 minutes, so please let me get on with the proceedings by introducing our host for this very special event. He's a man you'll all be familiar with for his courage and endeavour. I've had the pleasure of speaking with him in preparation for these awards, and know what? It just takes a few minutes to understand why he's frequently in demand as an inspirational speaker. So let me introduce to you our host for this evening, Weston Cbe.
Thank you, Bill. That's very kind. How do you judge awards like this? Well, let me start by giving my own personal thanks to all those who have been nominated today for the sacrifices you have made. We know that only some of you will be mentioned, but let me reassure you that we recognise the qualities you have and all the work you have done over the past many months. For this, we salute you. I feel really honoured to be asked to present these awards. For me, the heroes in life are the ordinary people who step up in the moment. When the bomb hit my ship in the Falklands, there were people around me whose actions I will remember until my dying day. Their bravery helped us to regain control of what was chaos, and thanks to the actions of one or two, my life was saved. I am so grateful to so many people, those on the ship, the Falklands nurses who are so rarely mentioned, and the airmen who comforted me on the 19 hours flight back to the UK. The heroes in my life are people you will have never heard of, and yet they mean so much to me that I have named my children after them. And that's why these awards are so important, because today you are going to hear the names of people you have never heard of. Now, I'm not saying that you have to name your children after them, but listen for a moment about the things they have done and consider just how important it is that we have people around us like them. Our doctors, nurses, and other medics have never been tested as much as they have in these recent times, and we will probably never know the true debt we owe them. Today, we will thank and honour some who have saved lives and returned loved ones safely to their families. We will also thank them for comforting the ones who never went home. At the same time, we know other key workers have played their role on the front line. They have been important cogs in the community who have helped the medics and the 999 services to do what they do best. And then there are the other heroes who we find in every corner of our lives, people who also deserve the spotlight, if only for one moment. And that's what these awards are about. One other thing to mention before the main event begins, I would like to thank all those businesses and organisations who have put their hands in their pockets to ensure these awards take place. Back in January, I sat on my couch in Cardiff and recorded a video asking for their support, not knowing if anyone would come forward, but they have stepped up so generously, and I would like to add my thanks to all the sponsors. Each will feature as the awards take place today, but let me step aside briefly so that our principal sponsor can say a few words.
When the My Permit team heard about the South Wiltshire Heroes Award 2021, they wanted to help. They knew firsthand just how hard this health emergency has been on businesses, on our family, and on our friends across South Wiltshire. So many local people from all walks of life have worked quietly in the background, helping us all. They have done so away from the spotlight of publicity, driven by their desire to make our world a better place. We have had a tremendous range of entries. The judges have read inspiring stories from our health sector, our emergency services, from our whole community. Each tells of the determination to help others through the pandemic, to lift spirits. Action that showcases the very best of our region. Let's hear more about some of those now.
I hope you're applauding at home because the organisers at the Salisbury Journal and South Wiltshire Living magazine really appreciate all the support they have received. We are delighted to have such an important principal sponsor, and you will be hearing more from them when we announce the Hero of the Year. Now then, these awards are divided into 3 main categories, and each category will be introduced by someone else who I am sure will be a familiar face to you. So let me hand over to our first celebrity guest.
Hi everyone, thanks Simon, and what a great idea to say a big thank you to all our local heroes. Amazing, darling. My role here is to introduce the NHS category, of which there must be thousands of deserving cases. My heartfelt thanks goes out to them all. Here we have awards for our healthcare team, individual healthcare professional, and medical support. Let me hand you over, of course, to our category sponsor, who will announce the first award.
Milford Hall Hotel is really honoured to endorse this category. Some may not know it, but during the pandemic and lockdown, we opened our doors to support our local NHS and military workers who needed accommodation whilst in the city. We are very proud to be able to support our heroes and give something back to the community, and it's for that reason we have sponsored the Medical Support Award. So I'd like to hand over to Bill, who will now tell you about those who have been shortlisted for this award.
Thank you, Stuart. The first of our shortlisted candidates for this award is Jennifer Bryant from Sentinel Healthcare. Jennifer's been nominated for her work as a senior carer. She's gone above and beyond to help her residents while managing her family at the same time. She's also helped with fixing telephones so families could speak together through windows, and does everything possible for residents to ensure that they are living their life as normal as possible. The next is Bianca Jilks from There For You Salisbury. Bianca has worked with the company as a carer pretty much since it started. We're told by the owner, Joe Broom, that they knew quite quickly that they had found someone very special when she joined. Bianca had not worked for a while, as she had spent some time looking after her husband, who sadly lost his battle with cancer. Joe said that during lockdown, Bianca's devotion and commitment to their clients and the company was unwavering. Then there's Lynne Rhodell, Salisbury and District Hospital. Lynne has been a nursing assistant at Salisbury and District's Hospital Accident and Emergency Department for more than 15 years. Despite being at an age when she could retire, she insisted on working throughout the pandemic. She contracted COVID herself, yet returned to work as soon as she was allowed. Lynne is a great organiser and is well known throughout A&E and other hospital departments for her fundraising efforts. Over to Stuart to tell us who's won.
Thanks, Bill. This is a lady who has frequently worked uncomplaining for 7 days straight. She always has a fundraising project in mind. Our winner is Lynne Rhodell.
Our second award in this category is the Individual Healthcare Professional, sponsored by Chutneys. The finalists are Megan Rayner, Princess Anne Hospital, Southampton. As a midwife, Megan came to the aid of a family friend when she heard the Salisbury mother and baby had been temporarily separated. Beth George, the mum, explained that her child had been born with an often fatal, very rare birth defect and had to be taken by ambulance alone to Southampton for further testing. Megan contacted Southampton, where she was then a midwife, and explained Beth's situation. The support they gave her, and later the personal help Megan gave to Beth, using her own free time to buy vital supplies, made a world of difference to the mum. John Begley, mental health social worker, is the next on the list. John was nominated for his support to one family where a wife who suffered mental health problems had to look after a husband with Hodgkin's lymphoma. Mel Rogers, the wife and John's nominator, discovering her husband's illness during COVID and suffering as she did with depression, meant they found themselves struggling. She said, John has been on the end of the phone throughout this period, not just for mental support for me, but also for her husband. She added, John does more than his job. He makes me feel heard. When things are tough, he's found the time to talk. Then there's Claire Levy, Salisbury and District Hospital. Claire is a former ITU nurse who now runs the simulation department at Salisbury District Hospital. In the first wave of the pandemic last year, she went round the hospital with her colleague Colin, running simulated scenarios, ensuring staff were up to date with PPE and new COVID-related guidance. We're told it was invaluable in preparing the clinical staff for COVID and ensuring they stayed safe and the patients received the best possible care. To announce the winner, let me hand you over to Attical Hock, owner of Chutneys.
Chutneys is Salisbury's long-established Indian takeaway. We are delighted to be giving something back to the community by sponsoring this award. As a man so supportive of my own family, it was heartening to hear the story of our chosen winner, who is Megan Rayner.
Our final award in this category is for the Best Healthcare Team, which is sponsored by Elite Care Agency. The shortlisted are Order of St John Care Trust, Bemerton Lodge. Bemerton Lodge, like so many other care homes, was among those hit during the COVID crisis. We're told the team worked hard to make sure they still met the needs of the residents whilst also trying to keep the virus away from the home. Manager Rebecca Flood told us many staff members caught the virus and had to isolate at home, but the rest of the staff came in and worked above and beyond to look after some very poorly people at the end of their life. It was a very scary time, but the team pulled together, she told us. They worked endlessly to make sure cleaning was also completed. Everyone provided help and support, including the kitchen and housekeeping team. Then there's the stroke unit, Salisbury District Hospital. They were described as unfailingly caring, professional, kind and supportive by a former patient who was admitted for 5 weeks during the pandemic. She said a change of venue meant that therapists had to be resourceful as they were away from their usual therapy resources. And there's Pembroke Ward staff at Salisbury District Hospital. The staff were praised for continuing to provide outstanding service to the patients and keeping everyone safe during treatment, despite the change of circumstances that the pandemic brought. To announce the winner, let me hand you over to the Managing Director of Elite Care, Teresa Trevitt.
Coming from the care sector ourselves, we know how important teamwork is, and we as judges saw this in abundance. The winner of the Healthcare Team Award is the Order of St John's Care Trust at Bemerton Lodge.
Well done to all of you. I mentioned earlier how important it was to have people you can trust around you, and I think we've all learned just what that means when your life could be on the line. Now on to our next category, and someone else I am confident you will know to introduce them.
It's all very impressive, isn't it? I have to say, the judges must have had to work hard on making such difficult choices. Now, for the majority of you who've got better things to do than watch breakfast television in the morning, I'm Dr. Hilary Jones, a practicing GP, who also pimps himself out as health editor on ITV's breakfast show Good Morning Britain. Now, until recently, there was this guy, what was his name? Piers Morgan, I think it was. Yes, that's him, Piers Morgan. He was our anchor presenter, and yes, I know you must all be missing him tremendously. But I'm so pleased I was invited to introduce this next category, the Emergency Hero Awards, which recognises those who've done great things in the face of the unexpected. All of you, every single one of you, deserve recognition, and I'm immensely proud to call you my colleagues. Before we get to the awards, I'd just like to spend a couple of minutes reflecting on how this virus has impacted on all of us. It's a serious business, of course, and it will last a while longer, but we will get through it. And amongst the things that will help will be to be grateful for what we do have and to keep our sense of humour. I mean, for example, I think we can all agree that back in 2016, not a single person got the answer right to the question, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? And for those of you of a certain age, how many thought that after surviving all that unprotected sex in the 70s, 80s and 90s that you might die from an unprotected handshake in 2020? Who would have thought that something like this could affect every facet of our lives? Going to the pub, the theatre, film and sport. Shopping is a different experience too. The masks, the social distancing, the hand sanitizer. At my local supermarket, they're still using temperature scanners. But I think those can affect your memory because I went in for bread, milk and sanitizer and came out with gin, wine and chocolate. And now I hear the European Medicines Agency have finally reached their conclusions about the link between clots and jabs. Apparently they've discovered that the EU have got all the clots and the UK have got all the jabs, and I couldn't agree more. Seriously, above all, we've been proud to reflect the magnificent work which every single one of you has been involved in. We have in this country a wonderful health service that is complemented by an emergency service which is second to none. And as our judges have discovered, they in turn have some amazing support from the public. Now let me introduce you to our category sponsor, who will also announce the first award in this section.
Good evening, everyone. At Bond Dental Clinic, we offer general dentistry as well as complex specialist and implant treatments. We accept patients looking for a dentist and have a full team of registered specialists that work very closely with referring dentists in our community. Our goal is to provide exceptional care and extensive treatment options that otherwise would not be provided in a single location for patients. I feel that if we are going to create a better society, it is so important that we build up and contribute to our communities. A crucial part of building up our communities is by recognizing those who have made exceptional contributions. These people truly are heroes. This is the reason why I decided to sponsor the In the Moment Award. I'm going to hand you over to Bill to tell us about those who have been shortlisted.
Thank you, Barut. Captain Carl Williams was nominated for the bravery he showed while off duty in disarming a gunman who threatened a crowd of shoppers in Southampton. Captain Williams heard hysterical screaming before spotting a man pointing a firearm towards the petrified group of people. However, the 42-year-old waited for his moment and then took the gunman to the ground. He disarmed him and pinned him down until police arrived. Kieran Thomas. Among other nominations was Kieran, someone who recognised the urgent need of youngsters to have laptops at home during the lockdown, and thanks to some smart use of social media, he was able to gather donations of laptops and distribute them as a gift to young people in the county. Then there's Brendan Smith of Smith Budgeons, who together with his staff pulled out all the stops for his community at Codford St Peter, ensuring that the vulnerable received their prescriptions and had provisions delivered to their home. Barut, please tell us who's won.
And the winner is someone who turned out to be in the right place at the right time for many people. And the winner is Captain Carl Williams.
The next award is for Young Heroes, sponsored by ABF, the Soldiers' Charity. The finalists are Tala Owen. 12-year-old Tala was nominated by his grandmother, who said she was so proud of his actions during the period his father suffered COVID. Tala lives with his father Stephen and their English Bull Terrier Indy. In January, his father contracted COVID. Throughout his father's illness, Tala ran the house, cooked for his father, fed the dog, and administered medication because the dog was also poorly. Then there's Alfie Pollock, Welsh. Alfie was nominated by his mother, who told us he was really struggling mentally as soon as lockdown kicked in. Alfie plays football 6 days a week and is very sociable and rarely at home, so it was a real hard time for him. Mum Amy said we set up an Instagram account so he could share his lockdown football journey with other children in a similar situation. And it went crazy really quickly. He helped to motivate so many other children in the same situation and eventually decided to use his love of football to raise some money for the NHS. At the start of lockdown, Alfie could complete around 250 football keep-ups. He decided that he was going to raise the money for the NHS by challenging himself to practice until he could do 1,000 without dropping the ball. He managed an incredible 3,712 live on Instagram and absolutely smashed his goal, raising £1,250. Finally, there is Kira Redding. Kira's a Year 10 student at South Wilts Grammar School who has a passion for art. As well as attending online lessons, she spent her spare time over lockdown and during school closure painting with watercolours and giving them away for a donation to the Salisbury Hospice. She had raised £580 by March, and the donations are still coming in. Her nominator said she was a real credit to the school. To announce the winner from the ABF Soldiers Charity, the executive fundraiser, Caroline Carey.
Representing, as I do, the national charity of the British Army, whose aim is to provide a lifetime of support to soldiers, veterans and their immediate families when they're in need. It is so heartening to hear how young people are stepping up to help others in a time of crisis. The judges were overwhelmed by the efforts of all these young people. Each and every one of them deserves this recognition, but the award goes to a young lad who met adversity and turned it into a positive. He is Tala Owen.
The next award is the 999 Award, which is sponsored by Saffron Indian Takeaway. The finalists are Jim Toomey, firefighter, Dorset and Wiltshire Fire and Rescue Service. Watch manager for Dorset and Wiltshire Fire and Rescue Service, Jim has retired after serving the community of Wilton since December 1973. Jim joined the then Wiltshire Fire Brigade as an on-call firefighter 47 years ago and has been officer in charge at the station since 1986. As a self-employed taxi driver, he's juggled his business with fire calls, training and running the station. Adam Carr, Wiltshire Air Ambulance's newest specialist paramedic in critical care, Adam has qualified in record time. The 34-year-old joined the charity only in October 2019, but secured this special paramedic status after 18 months of hard work and studies. His nominator said the completion of his qualification is even more remarkable given most of it took place during the height of the coronavirus pandemic. He joins an experienced team who pride themselves on being able to reach anywhere in Wiltshire within 11 minutes. Then there's Dr. Phil Calburn, MBE, South Wilts Ambulance Service Foundation Trust. Dr. Phil is the Acute Care Medical Director for the South Wilts Ambulance Service Foundation Trust, and he was nominated for services to pre-hospital care, particularly during COVID-19 response. He jointly led a new project to help relieve pressure on the region's hospitals during the first wave of COVID-19. The initiative, which was piloted in April 2020, involved safely moving critically ill and injured patients between intensive care units. He also created a trauma and resuscitation advice line for the foundation to enable colleagues to speak with an appropriate clinician while responding to trauma patients. Plus, he helped colleagues to develop their careers by rolling out training, resources, and best practice. To announce the winner from Saffron Indian Takeaway, Rosanna Begum.
Thank you, Bill. Saffron Indian Takeaway are delighted to be part of this ceremony, and we have been so impressed with the candidates for this award. In the end, the judges thought the leadership of one particular individual had the greatest impact on saving lives. Our winner is Dr. Phil Calburn.
The emergency services. We take them for granted, and yet they are an essential part of all our lives in one way or another. For me, my mother needed the emergency services. She had a terrible heart attack. The police, the ambulance service, and the emergency services, once we got her into hospital, saved my mother's life. And 10 years on, she's still with us. So for me, I know what they mean. So now our final category, and once again, I'm sure you'll be pleased to see who's introducing them.
Hi, it's Kate Bliss here. I'm sure you'll know me best from my exploits on TV's Bargain Hunt and other antique shows. I'm so honoured to be asked to introduce the final category in these awards, Everyday Heroes. Among the charities I support in my home county of Herefordshire is the Little Princess Trust, and I know only too well what a trying time it has been for them. Anyone who has helped a charity through fundraising, volunteering, or has been a key worker over these past many months has my admiration. We probably all know someone who does amazing things out of the goodness of their heart, or because they just have a passion for what they do. Well, they are the types of heroes who have been shortlisted right here. A fantastic well done to you all. Let me introduce you to the category sponsor.
We're delighted to be supporting the South Wiltshire Hero Awards, and in particular sponsoring the category for Everyday Heroes. This is a great opportunity to highlight the inspirational stories of people from all sectors of our community. We have the opportunity to shine a light on just a few of the remarkable acts of courage and kindness which cement the bonds of our society. We have also sponsored the first award in this category, which is for the best fundraiser. I'll hand over to Bill, who will tell you about those who have been shortlisted.
Thanks, Paddy. The finalists are Louise Mcconnell. Louise is a businesswoman in Salisbury who still found the time to do something for underprivileged children in the city. Louise said it was her understanding of hardship when growing up that was the driver. She set about creating the Great Big Christmas Toy Appeal, which benefited a variety of charities and organisations supporting children, including Elaborate, Little Follies Children's Centre, the Women's Refuge, Wiltshire Council and Salisbury Hospice. With the support of St Thomas's Church, her concept was to gain the backing of all business groups and come together to help give a little Christmas magic to those children who otherwise would not receive a thing. Then there's Ray Jordan, Bullies Out charity. Ray was nominated by his sister Victoria Shipp for the work that he does for Bullies Out. Victoria told us that Ray is known to many as a celebrity ghost hunter and TV presenter, but he's also the patron of the Bullies Out charity. She said it's close to his heart through experience of being bullied when he was younger. With the normal fundraising activities cancelled in lockdown and the future of the charity under threat, Ray worked with the team, led by Linda James at Bullies Out, to find new ways of gaining support. Ray joined them in posting on social media, hosting live chats and coming up with online events to raise funds. Then there's Rotary Club of Wilton. Wilton Rotary Club were nominated for having worked tirelessly to support their community during the pandemic. The members worked as a team from delivering food parcels and medication to those in isolation and standing in all weather to help and guide people for their vaccinations. They used their funds to help pay for hospital staff PPE and entertain the elderly at Christmas by delivering mince pies using Santa and a sleigh.
The judges were impressed how people, some still busy trying to run their own business, were willing to sacrifice their valuable time to help others. Our winner is Ray Jordan.
Our next award is for Unsung Hero, which is sponsored by Salisbury and District Chamber of Commerce. The finalists are Sarah Bravery, Split Support Service. As a volunteer for the Split Support Service Buddy Scheme, Sarah supports individuals who have experienced domestic abuse or sexual violence to recover and move forward from the trauma. Clients are often exceptionally vulnerable and face challenging circumstances, and their volunteers support them with one-to-ones for 6 to 9 months. Sarah was described as incredible during the COVID pandemic, supporting 4 different people at once. Laura Tween, Able Hands Together. Laura has built her therapy farm for adults with learning disabilities from scratch and recently moved to new, larger premises. With health problems of her own and 2 sons with autism, inclusion is very close to her heart. We are told she is an incredible lady who learnt to read and write at the age of 25. Then, using assistive technology, she was able to complete a law degree, and all this while being a single mum, working part-time. Her clients, or co-farmers, learn employability and social skills in a safe and nurturing environment, where she is building classroom pods, animal pens, vegetable plots, planning for a cafe, creative spaces, and a wedding venue staffed by her co-farmers. Helen, Pessel and Terry Seton, St Michael's Community Centre. Helen and Terry kept the community fridge going at St Michael's Community Centre throughout the worst months of lockdown. The community fridge is essential for Bemerton Heath and the surrounding area, and Helen and Terry have shown themselves to be selfless in their approach to helping others. Both have given up hours of their time during lockdown, knowing that food provided by the service helps the vulnerable. Over to Daniel Reintutt from Salisbury and District Chamber of Commerce to tell you who the winner is.
The Salisbury and District Chamber of Commerce has seen firsthand just how many people, whether they're in business or employees, have struggled in the past year. We have made it our goal to reach out to them and provide assistance wherever we can. That's why we are delighted to sponsor this award and recognise those who have at great sacrifice to help others. The winner of this award is Laura Tween from Able Hands Together.
Now on to our penultimate award. Just before I introduce the sponsor, let me say my farewell, as I'm going to ask Simon to sign this event off in a moment. I'll ask you to hang on to the very end though, as we have a bit of a special surprise for everyone that's been nominated. And I could not let this moment go without adding my own personal thanks to Simon Weston, who has been so generous with his time. I hope you'll agree he's made these awards that little bit extra special for us all. If you have a team you wish to inspire, I promise you he comes highly recommended. And I'd like to add a final thank you for all our sponsors who have not only supported these categories and individual awards, they have generously given up their time. We really do appreciate it. So let me introduce the penultimate award of the event. This award is for the Best Key Worker, sponsored by Aspire Defence. The finalists are Bianca Jilks, There For You, Salisbury Limited. We heard about Bianca earlier, but her work for There For You, her devotion and commitments to clients was praised by the owner as outstanding. Joe Broom told us Bianca continuously goes above and beyond and often has to be forced to have a day off. She does so much for the clients in her own time, such as shopping and taking them out. In addition to this, she has supported her family and elderly father. We really feel she deserves some special recognition. Jennifer Bryant, Sentinel. Equally, Jennifer was featured in an earlier nomination. We were told Jennifer doesn't just go to work to do her job, She goes there to actually help residents and staff and goes way beyond her job responsibilities. She was nominated by her daughter, who said she's been a lifelong carer and nurse. And then IN Newman Funeral Directors, a group of people who are not always at the forefront of awards, are funeral directors, but they've not been forgotten this time with the nomination of IN Newman. Our nominator told us the on-call team were available 24/7, and they never complained because it was a job they were proud to do. We were told it's been busy and days have been long, but they did their best for every person that came to them for their final journey, and they supported all of the families with the care that they needed at such an awful time. We have to take our hat off to every single one of them, and they deserve some recognition for the job that they do every day. To tell you who the winner is from Aspire Defence Limited, Chief Executive Alan Thompson.
It's natural to think of the NHS frontline and the emergency services when you talk about key workers. But as we have already seen in these awards, there are so many others that we rely on to make sure that the economy and society keeps going. That is evidenced in these awards, where we have seen a wide variety of candidates, and for some their role is to deal with the saddest of outcomes during COVID. And this is why our chosen winner of the Best Key Worker Award is IN Newman Funeral Directors.
We are almost done. But even in such excellent company, there is always someone who stands out from the crowd. Well, you will not be surprised that the same is true for these awards. There has been one person who has stood out above all others, and in the great tradition of these things, we have saved the very best until last. So I would like to invite our principal sponsor to return to the screen to announce our hero of the year.
The judges said of our winners, and yes, there are two of them, they are a great example of young people helping each other. This generation has been particularly affected by the pandemic, so any work that has gone on to ease the pressure of lockdown must be seen as a positive thing. Our young heroes were nominated by one of their mothers. She told us both boys, students at local schools, had volunteered hours and hours of their own time every week to help coach younger children at Salisbury Rovers Football Club. She said they are both passionate about their football and they inspire younger children by their amazing coaching skills, their love for the game, and their never-ending patience and encouragement. Both boys are also part of the Beautiful Game project, where they help coach disadvantaged children who might not normally be able to access football. Every holiday and during term time, they give up their time to coach and mentor these children. They have also been supporting the club in raising money in lockdown, and £2,000 has been raised to support a variety of different local charities, including Salisbury Hospice, Encircles and the Women's Refuge. The South Wiltshire Heroes of the Year are Keir Doherty and Aaron Joseph.
Thank you for watching these awards today. They will continue to be available to view on Facebook, so do tell your friends. We also thank all those who took time and trouble to nominate. And as I said at the beginning, they will not be forgotten. That's why we thought you might like to see their names in this roll of honour. Good night, stay safe.